Welcome to episode 193 of Build Your House Yourself University by HiU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson, and together we'll learn the basics of home design and construction and demystify the building process so we can make informed decisions and build quality dream homes with or without a general contractor. After unavoidable pre-construction setbacks, my home building journey has had its share of challenges even before the foundation was placed. But delays have been used as opportunities for design improvements that will make the house even more resilient than originally planned. This episode is kind of a construction update. I'll tell you about our delays and what we did to make lemonade out of lemons. Before we move on, I want to give many thanks to Gina Lupejo and Ben14826 for our latest Apple Podcasts 5-star ratings and reviews. They titled their reviews, Best Beginner Podcast I've Found, and Best Home Building Podcast. You two wrote such persuasive reviews. Anyone even remotely considering listening to the podcast will definitely be inclined to give us a try because of reviews like yours. Thank you for writing such kind words. I don't know if you realize it, but this podcast is lots of work. It's almost like a part-time job. And when I get tired or tempted to think it's not really making a difference, it helps me. It encourages me to read your positive feedback. I'm grateful for all of you who've ever written a nice review or sent me a kind email. Thank you. Thank you for giving back in that way. Okay, let's move on to this week's show. We've had downpour delays, foundation frustrations, and soil surprises, and I've told you about some of those challenges in other episodes, but some things I'll share today I've never shared before, including this first thing. My house will be an idea house, also known as a concept house or case study house. I'm calling it the ultimate idea house because I intend on it being an example of the best ideas, materials, and methods that I've learned about over the course of this podcast. Unlike most idea houses that focus on decor, I want to show energy efficient, quality construction. That's not only stylish, but strong. The project will be presented at Resonant's Building Performance Conference, and there will be virtual tours of the completed house in 2021. Most of the construction progress photos will be on Instagram. Now, you know I'm not very social media savvy, but I'm giving Instagram a try. So if you want to see the progression of the house, plus some styles and products I'm considering for the build, follow the project on Instagram at Ultimate Idea House, all one word. I'm just starting the Instagram account, and I need some followers. So if this podcast has been helpful to you, you can help me out with that. And be patient with me until I can add more photos. I'll have links to the Ultimate Idea House Instagram account in the show notes. All right, let's get into the meat of the episode. Record rains and flooding were the main culprits stalling the start of construction of my house. The running joke in the area was that it only rained twice in the spring-summer of 2019, once for 2 months and once for 3 months. Countless consecutive weeks of abundant rain culminated in the overflow of the river. River water infiltrated area homes and sat outside the riverbed for days. I'll have a couple of pictures in the show notes of that flooding. The conditions caused a significant postponement to the start of construction of my house. This happened not only because of fewer potential working days, but because subcontractors' time and attention were diverted from working on bids and new builds to repairing homes damaged by the rain and flooding. The extra rain and time sparked us to consider some design modifications that would make the house more equipped to withstand the region's wet climate. High above and overlooking the river, the house will have virtually no chance of ever flooding. But because of its hilltop location, there's a fairly high risk of the site being affected by penetrating wind-driven rain. As a result, we added a Zeters outdoor storage unit to the job site to protect construction materials from downpours. Remember Zeters? Z-T-E-R-S? I told you about them several weeks ago. They're a one-stop shop for all the construction site services that you'll need for your build, including dumpsters, portable potties, temporary fencing, and storage units. We're using a storage unit from Zeters on our job site because we're on a pretty tall, secluded hilltop where materials would be susceptible to wind-driven rain and theft. Another thing we did because of all the rain in the area was to add a covered entry to the home's design. There was no covered entry on the original house plan. It was considered an unnecessary aesthetic feature by the architect, but Keith, the builder I'm working with, insisted on covering that front door to protect the home's entry from infiltrating rain. We also added a rain screen. Remember the term rain screen? We talked about it in episode 145. A rain screen is not a tangible screen at all. Instead, it's a space, an air gap between the home's exterior siding and its water-resistant barrier, like zip system. When wind-driven rain or other water or moisture get behind your brick, stone, stucco, or fiber cement siding, the rain screen provides a drainage and ventilation space. That space lets any water or moisture that gets behind the exterior cladding drip down and evaporate. The rain screen is added to protect the home from wall rot. We're going to use the Dorkin Delta Dry and Lath rain screen because of its ability to be installed quickly and easily. It's a 2-in-1 product that combines a rain screen with a fiberglass lath system, when that lath system is used to apply stone and stucco finishes. Using materials that combine construction solutions decreases the labor and time needed for installation, and that will help make up for time lost on the project. Another time-saving solution planned is the inclusion of Huber Zip System R sheathing. Zip R combines a water and air barrier with continuous exterior insulation. It will not only provide a tight building envelope for this high-performance house, but it'll also save days to weeks of labor when compared to separately installing sheathing, a moisture and air barrier, and exterior insulation. Not only did bad weather defer the start of the build, but the construction schedule suffered because of several months' wait for the structural engineer's design of the foundation and continuous load path. Pop quiz. What is a continuous load path? You should know this one. We talked about it in several past episodes. A continuous load path is a method of construction that uses a system of connectors, fasteners, bolts, and screws to connect the structural frame of the house all together. The roof is connected to the walls of the second floor. The walls of the second floor are connected to the walls of the first floor, and the walls of the first floor are connected to the foundation. Now, since we're in a smaller city, there is a limited number of specialized professionals like structural engineers. And in times of thriving construction like now, overdue structural designs are more the rule than the exception. While waiting for the structural engineer, we used the extra time to scrutinize the original set of house plans. The builder added missing dimensions and construction detail to the architect's plan so that subcontractors could more easily interpret and execute the design. The architect's original plan set left room for assumptions and misinterpretations, and this would have most likely caused mistakes and slowdowns in the field. Modifications to the roof design were made to make it more economical and better suited for the rainy climate. An early quote from the plumber revealed that roof drains for the original 4 flat roofs would take a huge portion of the plumbing budget. Therefore, the majority of the roof design was changed to a McElroy metal standing seam roof. The 2 largest flat roofs were switched to low-pitched metal roofs, and the pitch is 3-12. The redesign maintains the aesthetics of the house, but it's better for the budget and for decreasing the risk of potential leaks, since flat roofs tend to leak more than metal roofs. Roof drains for the 2 remaining flat roofs were replaced with plans for scuppers, which are more economical and easier and quicker to install. Okay, pop quiz. Do you remember what a scupper is? We talked about scuppers in episode 173 called Why Roof Overhangs Are Important, Part 1. Well, a roof scupper is a roof drainage system used for flat roofs. Scuppers have openings at the edge of the roof. From that scupper opening, roof water moves into a downspout that looks similar to a downspout in a typical gutter system. Scuppers are typically less expensive than roof drains, which can also be used for flat roof drainage. Take a look at the show notes for a picture of a scupper. The final pre-construction hurdle was encountered after getting started with the initial excavation of the footings. Although soil, civil, and structural engineers had assessed the home site prior to excavation, not one of them predicted the degree of unstable soil encountered on the north side of the home site. To address the unexpected soil inconsistencies, the foundation design was changed. It was originally one with wide footings. Remember, footings are the deepest part of the foundation, kind of like the feet of the house. But because of the unstable soil, the design changed to a retaining wall. A retaining wall is a structure that holds or retains soil behind it. There are many types of materials that can be used to create retaining walls, including concrete blocks, poured concrete, treated wood timbers, rocks, and boulders. Our retaining wall foundation is being constructed with concrete block and horizontal and vertical steel rods, or rebar, for greater resilience. And once the retaining wall is finished, they'll pour a flat horizontal slab that will connect to the vertical retaining wall. Now, I don't want you to get discouraged by my difficulties. We've had many more setbacks than most people will ever have. And if you choose a standard lot on regular soil that doesn't need any significant structural engineering, and if you can avoid record rains and flooding, you'll have a much easier time with your project than we've had with ours. But we have a site with great views and lots of privacy, and I believe it'll be worth the time and trouble. I hope so anyway. Because of the challenges encountered during the pre-construction phase, we're even better prepared to build a strong, weather-resistant home. And it's going to be a concept home that we can all learn from. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Ultimate Idea House. Since it's a new account, I really need you to follow me. And it will also be the main platform that you can see the progress of the home and the products, fixtures, and finishes I'll be considering for the build. All right, well, that's it for this week. I hope that you aren't discouraged and you are encouraged that if I can make it through my build, you can make it through yours. And I still have a pretty good attitude, at least most of the time. Thank you for joining me this week. Come back next week for another episode of Build Your House Yourself University by HiU. Please remember that the purpose of this podcast is simply to educate and inform. It's not a substitute for professional advice. The information that you hear is based only on the opinions, research, and experiences of my guests and myself. That information might be incomplete, it's subject to change, and it may not apply to your project. In addition, building codes and requirements vary from region to region, so always consult a professional about specific recommendations for your home.